Hey guys, so welcome back. Um, this is going to be a first for me. Um, I am doing a review of a book, but it also comes with a movie. Now, uh, oh, as usual, can't have a video without being interrupted by my phone. Um, so let's go ahead and get started. Now we'll have a little fun. What am I drinking today? Uh, it is Earl Grey. It's the last Earl Grey I have. I know it seemed like the last, I think, couple videos I was drinking Earl Grey, so this is the last one. I did order a whole bunch of tea to come in, so that should be here sometime about midway through the month. This video probably I won't release until midway through this week. If it's earlier, it might also come out on Friday. I don't know. But let's go ahead and I got this last Valentine's Day. But I think it's nice and it's fitting because I might release this on Valentine's Day. Who knows? Alrighty. So let's go ahead and get started. So the book and movie that I'm doing reviews on is uh, Double Infinity or Double Indif yeah Indemnity by James M. Cain. So and the movie is old and I believe I don't even know when this one came out because everything is in like Japanese or something. I don't know. If anybody in the uh, has read anything like that, let me know. Um, so we'll do a quick run of the plot, um, and then kind of go from there. So, long story short, you know, we end up seeing it's basically a crime, thing where uh, now the names do change, so that kind of uh, so there are changes in the movie versus the book with some of the names. But um so for that, so there isn't confusion, um I'll just give a quick rundown. Um so basically there is an insurance salesman who for whatever reason ends up falling for a lady that he's trying to sell insurance to and her husband, and they end up deciding to kill her husband and um, all that. So, sorry, they're like doing things in the floor above me, and I was like quite concerned for a second. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but that's beside the point. So, what happens basically is then that happens in the first like couple minutes, probably like first 15 minutes. And then it comes to that they have to try and cover it up, and there's a lot of drama because there's, the uh, daughter-in-law that is trying to, figure things out because, at the same time, the insurance salesman and, this lady are trying to cover up this murder. And they think they have the perfect murder since, he's worked in insurance and his, great, um, you know, I guess you'd say mentor, you know, believes that he can always figure out every, insurance scam, blah, 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 blah. Now, that's basically the run of it. I won't reveal how it ends because, especially um, the movie and the book, they end differently. But so what basically is the thing that I want to talk about because I'm gonna try and not talk for 2 hours about this. I think that what I want to talk about, um, we see Phyllis, and I believe Jeff is what he's called in the movie, so that's what we'll go with. You know, So what do we do? And then Keys is the mentor. I think that what it boils down to, there's a whole bunch of stuff. There's femme fatale, all that. Especially the movie. The movie takes place in the midst of the noir movement in film, and so there's stuff like femme fatale and all that. Um, so what are we looking at? I think that for me, one of the biggest things is what we are willing to do in order to find our, you know, pleasures and desires and the lengths that we go for people. Ideally, I don't think that this is something that will likely happen or something that is common, for an insurance salesman to, fall for this woman. But what does it call to that it is this desire, this need for somebody? And I think that so many people relate to that in one way or another. But I think what it boils down to is that we see in this movie and in the book that desire is not always something that should be afraid of. We ideally, we see Jeff and Keys who are doing things, they work together, and there's this kind of mentorship, this bromance there. Keys is several years older, and it is so big that, he proves himself. There's this desire to prove, worthiness, but then there's this general desire within, oneself just because there's somebody that shows interest. Now, um, I'm not too sure if we find out how old, um, because I can't remember in the book how old Jeff is in the book or in the film, but in the film, I would say he's about in his 30s. Um, Never married and everything like that. So there is this kind of desire within that, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that you could throw with it. But how do you get away with murder, and how you rationalize murder comes from a place of desire in both the book and in the film, that you are able to find both in one for Jeff. He finds his desire housed in a woman that will allow him to both prove himself to his mentor, and he can prove himself to this woman. And how do you do it best? You do it by killing her husband. Um, she ends up strangling, her husband, and or well, it doesn't say it. It's very much told. The book and in the movie are both told as uh, um, that he's confessing to it. In the book, he does it, in this letter. In the movie, I think it's done in a is it a monophone where they talk into it and it records it. I guess it's a recorder. I shouldn't really try to go anything big or exciting, but we see this as this attempt to house in desire somebody else, and it doesn't work out at all. It there's this conflict, that there's the daughter-in-law's boyfriend, there's some relations there, there's all kinds of stuff that, and it goes back to the psychoanalytical idea that once you get your desire, once you find your desire in something, it's not, you'll find that it's empty. It is truly empty. You can never truly fill your desire. And you know there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes along with that. And there's questions about, oh, the relationship between Jeff and Keys, and just wanting to find some sort of companionship. But I think it just boils down to desire. Where can you find desire where it can be filled, and yet you lose all your morals? Ideally, in an insurance salesman, you would, there's some sly stuff there, whatever. But it is this desire that you can prove yourself and that you can, fill that desire. To prove yourself to your mentor means that you can prove that you're better than your mentor, that you can go above and beyond. Um, I know I, at my job, I train people from time to time, and there was a one time a comment made by somebody, and they meant it well, but they were just like, oh, because they did a task faster than me, and there's a whole bunch of actual stuff that goes into why they finished the task faster than me. But um, but the joke was made about, oh, well, you did a good job when uh, the trainee is becomes better than the mentor, and for me that's almost an offensive thing, and I did kind of take offense because it's just like, here I am supposed to be the one that trains, and I can now be obsolete, and I think there's some of that in desire. I think there's, and of course, you get over stuff like that, but I think in Key's case there is this desire that eventually the mentoree can replace the mentor, and in that desire you can also run away with the girl, that in insurance, if he's able to pull this whole thing off, he can still get the girl. And in getting the girl, there is this, primal desire that you can do all that stuff, and there's always something to go with that. But I think that so much desire rides within being able to prove yourself, being able to prove you'll go that extra mile for this girl, that you're able to kill Phyllis's, husband. You can be the brains behind the project, that you can release her from whatever she's ailing from, in this marriage, you know, which is very different. I watched, another movie, and it's very different. Like, seeing perspectives. So where does this leave us? I don't, I think the biggest point in this, and in the end, the setup takes place on a train, and the most beautiful quote happens, which is, I forget what the exact wording is, um, and I know I didn't mark it because it was something I saw in passing, and I thought, oh, that's a good quote. And then when we talked about it in class, I was just like, I should have freaking marked it or something. And I thought, and the quote goes that, you know, the train ends in the cemetery, and all that is in the cemetery is death. So they dispose of the body and stuff like that. The train doesn't stop. In the end, where does desire get you? And I think that the train is this beautiful symbol that the desires that are held in this book, in a movie, just lead you to the cemetery. Now, I don't want to give away how things go because I think that it's definitely, I recommend the movie because it is quite interesting. It's very different from the book. And of course, and that has to do with just different things. Um, but it is so fascinating that in the end, you're always going to end up in the cemetery. And it's just a matter of where your desires leave you about how you end up in the cemetery. And I think that that is the part in the movie and in the book where you have to question, how long will it take your train to get to the cemetery? Are you able to jump off the train before it ends up taking you to the cemetery? And are you able to hold off on your desires until it is something that is truly worth your time? Um, yeah, I think that that's all I want to say about, this book and this movie. But I hope you all have a great rest of your day and that you are filled with peace, love, and joy.